Hi everyone, how are you today? Let's learn psychology with me. Today we will talk about the biological foundations of personality. Let me share my screen with you. Let's get started. Biological foundations of personality. What are the early views about that? Hippocrates. Variations of psychological characteristics reflect variations in bodily fluids. Phrenology by Franz Joseph Gall. Specific areas of the brain are responsible for specific emotional and behavioral functions. This is actually the other way around, different from the contemporary research. In contemporary research, most complex activities depend on synchronized action of multiple interconnected brain regions. There were also some other researchers, for example, Mendel. He did a research on the breeding of pea plant characteristics. Pavlov, he was also another researcher. We will talk about him either here in this video or in another video. There were also some researches about inhibited and uninhibited children. What are the differences? Inhibited children show restraint, avoidance, and stress. They take longer time to relax in new situations. They have more unusual fears and phobias. On the other hand, uninhibited children laugh more. They also smile easily. Well, according to the research, many high reactive infants didn't become consistently fearful when they grew up. Of course, there is a change. Change happens because of the mothers, not overly protective and high demanding. Here you can see that environment also plays an important role in personality. Okay, sorry for the mistypo here. Interpretation or interpreting data on biology and personality. Here are some interpretations of amygdala. Here we can see that amygdala is involved in fear processes, but the facts are that amygdala is involved in many psychological functions than fear responses, not only for fear. Amygdala is the only biological response in fear responses. The fact is that it's not even necessary for the experience of emotions such as fear, even if it's usually involved in fear responses. Amygdala may primarily be involved in processing not of fear, but of novelty. It means when we meet something new, we experience a new thing that's a novelty. We may be not scared of it, but it's not because of we're scared or we have fear, but because it's something new, novelty. The link from genetics to behavior depends on the environmental factor. For example, social support. evolutionary psychology, and personality. Proximate causes. Proximate causes are biological processes operating in the organism at the time the behavior is observed. Biological processes operating in the organism at the time the behavior is observed. Perhaps that's why it's called proximate, the time when the behavior is observed. Proximate. Ultimate cause. Why is a biological mechanism a part of the organism? And why does it respond to the environment in a given way? You see that when we talk about evolution, evolutionary psychology, and personality, we have these proximate causes as well as ultimate causes. Sex difference is also a topic, but here it says that sex difference is probably socially constructed rather than biologically caused, because society doesn't treat men and women equally. You can argue here, but that's what we have heard. Parental investment theory. Women invest more because women have the pregnancies, while men have the resources. Men provide for the money, for the economical conditions to support the men, to support the women and the family. We can also debate on this because in advanced societies, both men and women work. Basic biological mechanisms. The result of evolution by selection exist and endured as they are adaptive to survival and reproductive success, or evolved psychological mechanisms. Let's move on. Genes and personality. Involve two things here: behavioral genetics and environmental experience. Behavioral genetics is the study of genetic contributions to behavior. Here there are 3 studies, for example, twin studies, selective breeding studies, and adoption studies. In adoption studies, for example, they do research about how the biological and biological kids and adopted kids have similarities and differences with their biological and or adoptive parents. In twin studies, they do research about the twins who are totally raised in the same environment, same families with a shared and unshared environment, or the twins who are separated by birth, and then these twins grow up apart, they grow up in different places, but they may still have some similarities in personalities. Those are the researches about. Environmental experience. Environmental plays an important role in personalities. Here, the environmental experience also includes environmental nutrition in childhood. How good is the nutrition in the childhood influences the personalities and perhaps also the IQ and EQ. Environment and gene-environment interactions. Here we talk about genetic characteristics of the child, different behaviors evoked in the parent by that child. Because sometimes kids can evoke different behaviors in parents. Parental behavior and child characteristics, nature, nurture interactions. Individuals with different genetic constitutions evoke different responses from the environment. Individuals with different constitutions select and create different environments. For example, extrovert, introvert, athletic individuals. If we are extroverts, then perhaps we may want to socialize with many people. Then we tend to also have many activities. We try to get involved in some clubs and organizations. We select to be surrounded by different people. That's an example if we are extroverts. Introverts is probably the other way around. Athletic individuals, perhaps they try to be active in playing sports. They want to create this environment to support their athletic skills. Let's see if we missed something. Okay. Let's move on. Mood, emotion, and brain. They are actually here. Some things that we need to focus on. Left and right hemispheric dominance. Left hemispheric dominance activates in positive emotional states. On the other hand, left hemispheric activates negative emotional states. Left, positive, right, negative. There are 3 dimensions of temperament. PE, positive emotionality. Extrovert. That's the first one. PE, positive emotionality. The second one, NE, negative emotionality. Experience elevated levels of negative emotions, see the world as threatening. The third one, DVC, disinhibition versus constraint. Disinhibition versus constraint. High in DVC shows impulsive, reckless, and feelings of the moment. DVC, disinhibition versus constraint. Neurotransmitters, chemical substances that transmit information from one neuron to another. There are 3 neurotransmitters mentioned here: dopamine, serotonin, and hormone cortisol. Dopamine is about pleasure, feel-good chemical. Serotonin is about mood, changes your mood. Hormone cortisol is the stress response. That's it for today. Thank you so much for studying psychology with me. Hope you enjoy the lesson and that you learned something new. Have a nice day and see you next time.